What is up? Come on down. Play down here. Yeah. Come on. Let's go. Good job. Good job. All right. Run. Be free. Oh, Papa God's plan is so much bigger than we've given credit. And we just aren't taught. We aren't taught to think big picture. And so we live in these small boxes of belief systems because that's just what we're taught. And we just assume that the first thing we hear is the truth. And that's a spiritual law. The law of first mention. Because we're very impressionable. Just like children are very impressionable. And we're baby children of God. So we are here as the sonship enclave people, mostly, I believe, to help you believe Papa God for anything He's going to teach you, and to help you start getting out of very limited belief systems. So, a lot of what we do is just take the bumpers off. Like when you're bowling, you put bumpers up for your kids so they stay, so they can't fail. And you can't fail, really, in the long run. If you're hungry for God, you can't fail. But we're just we're breaking down the walls of the boxes because it's what He's done for us in our lives, and we're taking the bumpers off of Christianity, where there's lots of questions people have, and because the questions aren't explored or don't get answered, or they're told not to ask questions. Are you going potty? You lying. Because they're not explored or explainable, or at least someone says, hey, I don't know, that's a good question. A lot of times people are taught to not ask questions, and I don't know why. Whatever the reason is that the leadership doesn't want questions asked, that's up to them. But the picture is so huge, and we're just opening up the conversation. That's all we're doing. And I've stayed off social media for the most part this year, just because of something between me and Papa. And I did briefly hop on, and I added in I put in my 2 cents on a pretty popular Christian rapper's post. And what he was saying was, wow, I'm surprised how legalistic some people are still preaching, like KJV only and all these other rules and stuff that people apply to what we call Christianity. And he was just going over some elementary things, I guess you would say. And that's what he called it. He's like, this is elementary, this is stuff that we shouldn't even be dealing with still. And I was like, dude, I said, it's not even so that's not even the half of it. Like, we're not touching, Christianity isn't touching the revelation of Christ within us and immortality and what the kingdom actually is. So my 2 cents were that, it's a way bigger picture than just because we're preaching KJV only or you can or can't do these things. It goes way deeper. And so I said, we as a corporate body, we're not as far along. Like we have a long ways to go. And so that drew some attention and sparked a conversation. First, the conversation started with someone telling me I was deceived, basically. And just write down the list of everything that we are discovering. He almost hit it head for head, nail for nail. Everything that we teach and everything that's been revealed to us. You know, he's like, if you think you're some baby God, you think you're someone that's equal to Jesus, all this stuff, that's all New Age, that's all Gnostic, and you're deceived if you think that you see the truth. And I was like, I would love to message you and talk to you, find out who you are, and then we can go line for line, verse for verse, and have a conversation, as long as we're actually just listening to each other, not just listening to argue, which is a huge heart motive that a lot of people deal with, is listening for what they disagree with and being prepared to argue with their belief system. That's a big thing people deal with. So it was just wild, and I want to encourage you, as you start stepping out, or as you start learning to trust Papa, you will encounter people who don't understand. And it's just because we've been taught a scattered variety of what salvation is, why Jesus came, what the kingdom is, when he's returning, all these different ideas about God. And we've just, whoa. No, thank you. No, thank you. Let go. Thank you. You're sneaky. We've just been taught so many small ideas. And whenever your reality gets challenged, it can be kind of scary. Because everything you've invested your whole life in, everything you've invested your energy in, all of a sudden it's like, is that true? Or is that the full truth? Or is it not true at all? And what do I do about it? So we're always confronted, when we're getting to know God better, to leave the old behind. Our current revelation, we have to let it go and grow up further, from glory to glory, from faith to faith. We're always growing until we're glowing, levitating, walking through walls, commanding nature, and demons are running up to us and bowing down and asking, why are you here? You shouldn't be here yet. Until we're that manifested, we have to grow up. So yeah, the picture is huge. And we're just breaking off those barriers. And we've walked through a lot of this. The same things you're walking through, and we're all walking through it together. And we're just coming up. We're learning to grow up. We're learning that salvation isn't a moment, and that the resurrection might not necessarily be a moment, but a process. Because Jesus very clearly said, I am the resurrection. He who lives in me and believes in me will not die, will not ever die. Do you believe me? That was his words. And so a narrow belief system will say, well, this is the context, this is what he was talking about. And there was a time and a context for that conversation, but also when you're reading with Holy Spirit, he illuminates things and he teaches you things. And so you are presented with the opportunity to give your understanding to Papa in new ways every day. So when he speaks something to you and it just ignites your spirit, your soul on fire, and you're like, wow, like, that's so amazing, but is it true? You know, it's those moments where your relationship is forged, where you're growing up and you are working through a process where no one can come and say to you, you're deceived, that's a lie, that's not true, that's not possible. And then they can steal your crown. Revelations 3 somewhere says, see to it that no man removes your crown. And crown can be understanding, revelation. So going through process with Papa enables your walk to be yours. And you can learn from other people's walks, but until you've walked in their shoes, it's not your walk. Until you've walked through that process, it's not yours. So walking with Papa is a process, and it safeguards you against being talked out of the amazing things he's trying to convince you of, that he wants you to have, that he wants you to grow up into. So understand there's a reason why the process takes time, and there's a reason for that building, that grounding and grinding it out with your dad, between you and him, because there's going to be other voices that come and say, you're delusional. you have to, like, one of the main points is he has been working with me on the concept of dying and how he doesn't want us to die physically. And because we all assume we're going to die physically, we have this ticking clock in the background processes of our life, where we're, however long you think you're going to live based on the decisions you've made and what you've put your body through. Oh, I only have 50, 60, 70 more years. Like, I'm really trying to get the most out of life. Well, to get the most out of life, you actually have to be connected with life and don't set any focus on death. This has to be how Enoch did it. He didn't care about what was going on around him. He locked into Papa God. He walked with God, and he was pleasing to God, and God took him at the right time. So getting in process with Papa should shift your focus off of a whole lot of things and get you set up for the most important thing, which is whatever's in your book or scroll or whatever you agreed to between you and Papa and said, I will walk that out in the earth. I will walk that out in creation. That is the only thing that matters in the long run, is that you run your course that you decided with him, that you agreed to. So it's remembering who you really are. And that's all we're doing, is remembering who we are, who he saw us to be in his heart before he spoke us. There was one other thing I wanted to mention, but I forgot. So this is enough. Oh, I remembered. Eric Gilmore, who does he does like presence schools, helping people tune in to the presence of God and just rest and really fall in love with God. So Eric Gilmore says that a lot of times when people go into their prayer closet or go into their time with God and they spend time with him and then they leave and they don't feel like anything changed, it's because they did everything but just adore him and fall in love with him. So if you're feeling stuck in any way, shape, or form, take your focus off yourself and where you want to be versus where you are, and just fall in love with him. Just adore him. Just go to him and be in awe and wonder of him. That is what the Hey is. Yad Hey Vav Hey. And the Hey is, the picture is of a person with their arms stretched out, looking at heaven. They're just standing up. They're just in complete awe. And they're just like, wow. This being, this most high being, is doing incredible things. Yad Hey Vav Hey. So there's a double wow with God. There's a double wow factor. At least a double. Be 200% in awe of him at all moments of your life, no matter what you're going through. And it will progress you, so to speak. So, yeah, just fall in love with him. Come to him with some requests, sure. But realize he's probably going to ask you questions, and he's going to have you work through these problems with the abilities and talents and the power of himself in you. He's going to work with you and get you formed in that through the process, because everything you need for life and godliness has been given to you and has made you a partaker of the divine nature, and you've escaped the corruption of the world that comes through lust of being somewhere you're not and wanting more than where you're at, and not just getting with him and in the process, and just clear all the other stuff out, all the social programming and societal programming, all of it. Just be in awe with him. He's right there, playing under the deck.
There's like sharp stuff under there, okay?
Yeah. So just get with him, fall in love with him, and that will be your foundation, because you'll begin to realize your whole life you've been loved, and right now you're loved, and in the future you're loved. So you're never out of being loved, and you're safe and you're secure in that, and that is the rock, the bedrock of your life, and the outflow of your lifestyle will come from love. God is love, and you're being formed to be love. So I love you, bless you, and I hope you have an amazing day today, and I will check in with you tomorrow.